My name is Ugochukwu Obunaya, and
hi there, my name is Praise Oladipo, and I'm Bootcamp. Thank you, Incubator.
My name is Akinsonya Olatomiwa, and I am here live at Future Clan Bootcamp. I signed up for content and copywriting class, and so far it has been so amazing. Believe me, when I say the classes has been so educative, they are so insightful, they are fun, there is just a lot to learn, and the facilitators are so good at coming down to our level. You know, when you actually break things down to an extent that even someone who has no previous knowledge about this thing would actually understand. So yeah, the classes has been amazing. We've had group works, lots of presentations, and I would actually recommend this to everyone. And I just want to say a very big thank you to Incubator for actually bringing together this amazing program, because I mean, this is no joke at all. Bringing 1,000 plus people for this on a full scholarship, I would recommend this to anyone and everyone I know. Thank you so much.
my name is Ugochukwu Obunaya.
Thank you, Incubator.
My name is Akinsonya Olatomiwa, and I am here live at Future Clan Bootcamp. I signed up for content and copywriting class, and so far it has been so amazing. Believe me, when I say the classes has been so educative, they are so insightful, they are fun, there is just a lot to learn, and the facilitators are so good at coming down to our level. You know, when you actually break things down to an extent that even someone who has no previous knowledge about this thing would actually understand. So yeah, the classes has been amazing. We've had group works, lots of presentations, and I would actually recommend this to everyone. And I just want to say a very big thank you to Incubator for actually bringing together this amazing program, because I mean, this is no joke at all. Bringing 1,000 plus people for this on a full scholarship, I would recommend this to anyone and everyone I know. Thank you so much.
My name is Ugochukwu Obunaya, impacting God's kingdom.
My name is Mata. Growing up, I wanted to be a banker, so I studied business administration. But along the line, I fell in love with tech, and I started as a product designer. In my crave for knowledge and out of curiosity, I wanted to understand what it feels like to bring my design into life. I wanted to understand what it feels like to code, and then I stumbled upon the TAP program. I was so excited. It was free. I registered for it and was very, very excited when I got my congratulations message. And since over 4 weeks, it's been so amazing learning. It's been really amazing. My facilitators have been so good. I'm really excited. Thank you to the LITA program. Thank you for this opportunity. I am really excited for this knowledge I've gained so far. Thank you.
I fell in love with cybersecurity, and I actually went online to search for some courses. I found some, but the ones that I could find were basics. They taught only the basics of cybersecurity. Thankfully, I came across LITA, Ladies in Tech Africa. I applied for the course for cybersecurity, and thankfully I was picked. It's been an amazing 4 weeks. We've been introduced into penetration testing, ethical hacking, and like the course outline for this, it's so much broader than the ones that you get online. And I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
My name is Mata. Growing up, I
Okay, good evening, everybody. Hello, good evening, everybody. How are we doing today? If you can hear me, let me know on the chat that you can hear me. Good evening. Let me see responses on the chat, just so that I'm sure that I'm being heard. All right, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Williams. Good evening. Thank you, Gift. Okay, thank you, Grace. Mofe, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. All right, good evening, everybody. Thanks again for joining the call. This is our third class. Yes, So we had a class on Monday, then yesterday and today, and this will be the last class for this week. So you've come a long way, I must say. So we've had about 6 hours of learning already, and I'm sure that hey, somebody gave me a name I don't want to call already. Kai, why are we like this? All right, so we'll be starting now, and we'll start with a quick recap of what we did yesterday. I see a lot of people calling one location in Lagos. I'm sure that is not me. We need to make a distinction between our address of a location and a person. Okay, so let's go on, everybody. I want you to go to the chart now, and you type out. Somebody is saying Happy New Month. Which month? Which month exactly? Is it? I don't understand. Happy New Month. Maybe those will be our people from Nigeria in mass. All right, so everybody go to the charts now and type in one key thing that you took out from the session yesterday. Everyone go to the charts and type in one key thing that you took out from the session yesterday. Put that on the chart for me. Yes, Precious, I know you are from Mars. I know. That's why. All right, so put that on the chart for me. How to rank values. Thank you, Dan. Was he how to rank or how to sort? Bemiga, how to use the large. Good. Eric, count a function. Excellent. How to be logical when using function. That's great. Faith. Difference between count and count a. Good. Intersection of column, row, and column in Excel. What is that? Excel calculation will start with equal to sign. How to use functions. Command on Excel. You understood that the equal to is very essential. Good. You can now differentiate between ribbon, the group, and the tabs. Super. Large function and the small function. Excellent. Within the ribbon interface, you have the tabs. Cool. All right. Excellent. Well done, everybody. What I would just implore us to do again is, whenever we're done with the session, please try to go back to the recording to do a rewatch of the recording. It's super important. And this is because this is a live class. At some point, you might be distracted on the call because of what some people are typing on the charts, and probably because you're also struggling to catch up with what is on the chart. So that way, you might be missing out on a few points. So it's just good for you to, after the class, try to go back to the recording. If you're sure that you didn't miss anything from the class, of course, all and good. But again, you should always go back to the recording. That's my advice, so that you can. That way you can solidify those things that you felt that you got properly, and you probably would catch up on the things that you missed during the class. Excellent. Super for attendance. Who is talking about attendance already? Maybe this is one of the admins, I believe. Difference between count and COUNTIF and this and that. All right, so today we're supposed to talk about the text function, but because we didn't complete the exercises yesterday, so I'm gonna just quickly wrap up that, after which we are now going to go into the text function for today. But before then, second thing to confirm, go to the chart, everybody, and type 1 on the chart if you got the exercise file for today. Type 1 on the chart if you got the exercise file for today. If you did not, type 0. 1 if you got it, 0 if you did not. Somebody did not pay attention to detail. You were asked to type 1. You typed, you got it. If you didn't get it, type 0. As analysts, you have to pay attention, clear attention to instructions, especially. So you're not asked to analyze A and then you are given a report of B. Those of you that you're typing is 0. Okay, let me do it this way. Those of you that typed a 1, which means you got the access files, how was it sent to you? Was it via email or it was dropped on the group chat? Where was it? Where did you get it from? How did you get it? Yano got it via email. Who else? Email Peruski. Good. Email. Okay, good. So everybody got it via email. So From those of you that you got it via email, I want to assume that some of you are not yet on the group chat. So which means that every single person on this call should have gotten it via email. You need to go check your inbox. For some reason, some of you would have forgotten the email address that you registered with. Yes, it's expected. So if you remember the email address that you registered with, go check your inbox. You should find the file there, I want to assume. If it's not in your focused inbox, you may want to check your other places, maybe your junk or your spam or those other places. All right, so I'll go straight into this. So yesterday we spoke about aggregations, how you can go on to roll up your numbers, how you can go on to summarize your numbers by way of you getting the total, or you're asked to calculate averages, or to calculate the highest or the lowest, or the total count of something. And some other times you need the highest and the lowest, but not the actual highest and the actual lowest. So you need something like the third highest, the second highest, the fifth lowest, the 10th lowest, and the likes of those. So we looked at ways at which you could get your ways around those yesterday. But one interesting thing about yesterday's class was pretty much direct in the sense that when we looked at the total amount, we looked at the total amount that we paid everybody. So in all of the calculations that we did yesterday, every single person within our data set was considered, and that made the calculation pretty direct. Sometimes you have a scenario where you would not be asked to calculate all of these same calculation. You will not be asked to do them on the entire data set, but on a subset of the data set. Think about it this way. Let's say somebody is asking you that I want you to help us to get the total salary. I want you to help us to get the total salary, but for people in Bielsa. I need you to get the total salary, but for people in Bielsa. How do you go about calculating that? I need you to get the average salary, but for those in Edo. I need you to get the highest salary, but for those in Kwara. I need you to get the lowest salary, but for those in Nasarawa. I need you to get the fourth highest salary for. So when you begin to now have limitation to what you should consider in your calculation, then you would not be able to use these normal aggregations anymore. So I'm going to switch to my second worksheet now, conditionals. So I'll switch to my second worksheet. And here we have a couple more questions to answer, but these questions are just as I've described. Now we have been asked that rather than get us the total salary for every single person in our data set, we only want to know how much we are paying people in Bielsa. Maybe this is a sales business, for example. If it's a sales business and we have sales reps in Bielsa, we now want to know how much are we paying these guys in Bielsa. Maybe we want to do a comparison as to what we are actually making in Bielsa. Maybe it doesn't make sense. So for example, for a particular month, we have sales reps in Bielsa, and all the amount that they were able to make for us, the revenue they were able to make for us as a business was all 1 million naira. That's profit out of all the sales they made. We made a profit of 1 million naira. But when we calculated the salary that you are paying these guys, the salary is also 1 million naira. What would you advise the business? We realize that consistently for a number of months, the profit that we make from the sales in Bielsa by all of our sales reps in Bielsa is exactly the same amount that we pay them in salaries. What would you advise the business to do? Anybody? Somebody is typing email on the chat. What's the email about? Maybe you just joined the call. The business should be closed. Okay, I was expecting that. Devise a new strategy to improve sales. What's the strategy? Tell me. To downsize. Okay. I'm thinking I'm seeing some HR people here. Review salary, staff reduction, improve sales. I would advise them to generate more money. How? Revenue increase. How? Downsize. Okay. Cut the salaries. Interesting. To reduce their salary. Okay, that's nice. Okay. Aggressive marketing. From where would we get money to market? Improve marketing strategy. Where will the money come from? Everything that they are making for us as a business is already being paid back to them as salaries. Retrain the staff. Why do you think that they need to be retrained? Minimize cost. Cost of what? Set targets. Okay, you want to kill them. They should not sleep again. Reduce staff strength. Okay. All of these points are valid, but a lot of them are still contextual. So when you have, I just gave that example. In a typical scenario, you would want to dig further down. You don't want to take the information that I gave to you to say that yes, what we are making in profit is exactly what we pay back to them in salaries. You may want to go deeper to ask some questions around maybe the sales is maybe whatever they're selling, the product they are selling is location bound, or maybe for example they're in a location that the product naturally doesn't move that much. For instance, let's say that a business is selling what example do I give here? Let's say that we are running a business that sells coffee, for example, or we sell beverages, for example. So when you talk about beverages in the north might actually sell more than in the south or elsewhere, because when you go to the north, almost every single corner you get to, every single junction you get to, there's a machine there that is selling tea, that is selling bread, that is selling egg, and the likes of those. So it's probably would move better there than every other places. So it could be that's kind of a business that you're running. And so you may want to ask questions around the kind of products that they're selling. Maybe that's the reason why they are not selling as much in Bielsa, but it might still make sense that you keep the business going. Hopefully the market would improve. Another thing you might want to ask is that, okay, is it a case whereby the product that we are selling is seasonal? Maybe, for example, the product has to do it ties with some festivities, and so it is a product that people will naturally buy. Maybe they buy more during the end of the year, or maybe when major festivities are coming. Or is it a product that is tied to? It's still seasonal, but it's tied to when students are resuming. So maybe you're selling, you're dealing in stationaries. You don't expect to always sell a lot of stationaries except when students are just resuming. Those are some things that you may want to consider. But again, I just gave you this point just so that you see reasons why you might be asked to calculate total salary for those that are in Bielsa alone. The business might want to know, let's know how much we are paying these guys in Bielsa. It doesn't seem like we are getting a loss from them. Let's know how much we are paying them, so that for whatever reason we can make a decision as to what we should do about them. Making sense, everybody? Are we good? All right, super. So now, with what we've seen yesterday, all of the aggregations that we did, we used the sum function. We used the average function. We used the mean, the max, we used large, we used small, we used count, we used count A. So which means yesterday alone, you probably learned 8 functions, how to use 8 functions in Excel. I told you that maybe before the end of this class on Excel, you might have learned about 60 functions or even more than. So just keep your eyes on them and then try to understand the scenarios why we are using what. So for the case that we are considering now, we want to get the total salary for those in Bielsa. the total salary for those in Bielsa, we would not be able to use the sum function because now there is a condition that we need to apply, which is the condition of we don't want to consider everybody, but we only want to consider people in Bielsa. The way to think about it is this. What I can do is I can try to apply a filter button at the top here, and you have a couple of options. So you can highlight your entire table, Control A to highlight it, and then you come here to your data tab and you come here to click on filters. Okay, you have your table highlighted, go to data tab, and then you go on to click on filters. But alternatively, because I'm lazy and I like shortcuts, so what I would do is I will just highlight the headings. I will highlight the headings like this, and then I will press Ctrl Shift L. I'll press Ctrl Shift L. That will give me these filter buttons. So that is the shortcut to get the filter buttons. Ctrl Shift L. L for lion. All right. So now, when we're told to get the total salary for Bielsa, what you technically need is that from all of this data set, if I come here to the company and I come here, I check the box to unselect all, and I go to select Bielsa and I click on OK. What I see at the moment is what they need, which is if I try to, excuse me, if I highlight these numbers now, remember yesterday, when you highlight the numbers like this, if you go to the bottom right of your screen, you will see the quick aggregation. So 11 million is what we pay to people in Bielsa, as against what we pay to everybody in our business. If you remember, it was 56 million. So out of 56 million, 11 million goes to people in Bielsa. So this is what we need, but we want to use a function to get it. So whenever you're thinking about aggregations, you are thinking about aggregations that would need you to apply some filters to get to the actual numbers that you want to aggregate. You will need to use the sister functions of these guys. So for sum, you will need to use the sumif, or you use the sumif, or you use the sum ifs. For average, you use average if, or use the average ifs. For mean, we do not have a mean if, so you use the mean ifs. Same thing with max ifs. Then for large, for small, they are not considered in this case. Then we have the count if and the count ifs. All right. So now, these are the functions that you will use whenever you need to perform the same kinds of aggregations. But before you perform those aggregations, you want to sort of apply some filters to reduce the data set that is considered in your calculation based on specific criterion. So now, let's go by the first example. I will not do all. So you need to pay very rapt attention. You need to pay rapt attention to this. So you get this once, and then others, you are going to probably go practice them on your own. Total salary for buyers. And let me tell us upfront, for some of these functions, for example, min ifs and max ifs, if you are using anything less than 2016 or anything less than 2019, you probably will not have min ifs and max ifs. There is a workaround for you guys, but I will not talk about that yet because it is beyond what we have learned so far. So when we get to the class, when we are talking about conditions, then we can bring that up again to now look at the workaround for those of you that you do not have min ifs and max if, and you want to calculate highest Edo salary and lowest Edo salary. So now, but regardless of the other versions that you guys are using, you should have sum if, average if, and count if. I think from 2010 or 2013 upwards, you should have all of this. If you are using below 2016, you may not also have sum ifs and average ifs and count ifs as well. But the idea is the same. Once you get how this works, you should be able to apply it when you have a version that has it. So if you don't have the functions that we're talking about, just listen, take note if possible. Fortunately for you, the recording is on YouTube, so you can always access it when you're able to, and then you'll be good. We want to get the total salary for people in Bielsa. Just the same way as you've learned, whenever you want to write a calculation in Excel, you need to start with the equality sign. So I do equal to, and then I type sum if. You may want to ask, what is the difference between sumif and sumifs? It's just depending on the number of conditions you want to apply or you want to put into consideration. It depends on the number of things you want to put into consideration in your calculation. So if you have only one condition to put into consideration, then you use the sum if. If you have multiple conditions, use the sum ifs. But sum ifs is generally more versatile. All of the S's, they are more versatile in the sense that you can use them for either one condition or multiple criteria, if that makes sense to you. So now we have the sum if. I do equal to sum if, I press tab. If I do equal to sum if, I press tab. When you are just starting to work with functions, and for some functions you do not really understand what the range is supposed to be, for example, or what the criteria is supposed to be, or what the sum range is supposed to be, you're not so sure of what they mean. Excel has a super useful way to assist you to get to that. There are people that are naturally getting themselves distracted. I don't know why somebody is on this chart and then talking about LMS. Why? If you're not ready for the class, you could leave for now and then allow those that are ready for the class to go on with this. So while the class is going on, I don't think it's necessary that we are bringing up some conversation that are not related to the class, so you don't distract people. You are not only distracting yourself, because apparently you are not following. That's what it means. You are also distracting others, and we need to eschew that. Okay, so please, there is time to attend to all of those things. You have ample time to attend to those things. If you have any concern, send emails to the admins. Be patient for them to reply to you. They are attending to a lot of people. You know how many thousands you guys are on this training? So you need to be patient and you need to allow the class to flow the way it's supposed to be. So please. All right. So when you do equal to sumif, if you do equal to sumif, like this, you do equal to sumif. The difference between sumif and sumifs is that sumifs can accommodate more conditions. Sumifs can accommodate more criteria. If in your calculation you want to consider like 10 criteria, 15 criteria, for example, you use the sumifs. But when you want to consider only one criterion, then you should use the sumif. But I mentioned also that the sumifs can also work when you have a single condition. So which means sumifs is generally better, more versatile. So you can use it for one condition or multiple conditions. The same thing with all of the ones that end with S's. So you can use them for one condition or multiple condition. What kind of condition? You will learn it. Calm down. So you learn it. It's a gradual thing. So, and I mentioned earlier already, if you followed the conversation up till now, you already know what the condition might mean. So we are talking about Bielsa total salary. We already have an idea that the condition will be that we want to see only people that are from Bielsa. That is the condition. All right. So it is from the calculation that you want to perform. That is what would influence, or that is what will inform you of what the condition is, or what the criterion that you are going to infuse into your calculation would be. Okay. All right. So now you have the sumif function here, but you don't know what's the range, which is one of the parameters or one of the arguments. You don't know what the range means. You don't know what criteria means. You don't know what sum range means. Okay, so what you need to do is that you can use one Excel feature to get to something that would make things simpler for you. something that will make this simpler for you by way of defining what each of those mean and what you are required to do. So whenever you are done typing the function like this and you have the opening bracket, I will do that again so it's clear. Equal to sumif, and you tab to open the bracket, just go on to press Ctrl A. When you press Ctrl A, it activates this function argument box. And this function argument box is super helpful, especially when you are just trying to own your Excel game. When you are still just trying to own how most of those functions work and you are trying to get acquainted to that. So that way, when you use this function argument box, the important thing that it does for you is that for each of them, for example, the range, it gives you a definition of what is requested. So here you see that it tells you that the range, which is what Excel is expecting, is that it is the range of cells you want evaluated. It is the range of cells you want evaluated. I'll come back to that in a minute. Then if I go on to click into the box for criteria, so I'm currently in the box for criteria now, you see that it now gave me a definition for what criteria would mean, and it said that it is the condition or criteria in the form of a number, expression, or text that defines which cells will be added. That is what you need, most importantly. So the criteria is what would define which cells will be added in your calculation. Remember what we did earlier, which was when I tried to apply a filter to reduce all of the records that we have to only show those that are in Bielsa. And we saw how many rows? 3 rows. So it is that criteria, whatever we put in the criteria here is that will do that same thing to apply the filter on all of those rows, and so that it only shows the rows that needs to be shown to Excel for that calculation to happen. And then we have the sum range. If I come here and I select the box for sum range, you see that sum range now says that it is the actual cells to sum. So which means that by now you should already know what the sum range would be. So sum range is the range of cells that you want to sum up based on whatever you supplied as a criteria that would be looked for in the range that you provided. Let me say that again. Somebody is supposed to be in a video editing class. It means that the person has missed 2 classes already, because how did you find yourself in this class if you have been following your video editing class? So you have the range here, which is the column that has what you want to use as your condition. Please follow this. Once you understand this now, you'll be able to apply the same explanation, the same understanding to things that would follow later. The range here is the column that holds your criteria. The criteria is the criteria itself. Okay, just take it like that for now. I'll give you some examples. Then the sum range is the column that holds the numbers that you want to sum up. Let's go now. If you look at this data set, ask yourself, we want to calculate Bielsa total salary. You want to calculate the total salary for people in Bielsa. Which column has Bielsa in it? In which of the columns would you find Bielsa? Which column? Column company. Excellent. The company column, that's where you will find Bielsa, which is the condition. So the column that holds that your condition, the column that holds what you want to filter by, that column is what you will supply in the range. That is what this is telling you. Range of cells you want evaluated. Whatever column holds that condition that you want to use in your calculation is what you supply in the range. And the criteria is the condition itself. So which in our case is that you want to only consider columns rows that have BIOSA in them. So you want to consider this one, consider this one, consider this one. So it's more like saying that in the criteria here, you type in BIOSA because you want to reduce this entire data to only when you have BIOSA there. And lastly is your sum range is the column that holds the numbers that you want to sum up, which apparently is your salary column. I'll take that again. If you do not get it after now, I'll need to send you to go and buy Akara and Akamu. So we have the sumif function. The sumif function, which is the same definition for average if, is the same for max if, min ifs, and all of those. In fact, the sumif is the only one that I'm going to do, and you'll go do the remaining ones yourself. The sumif function has arguments that you need to understand, and I think I mentioned it in the last class too. One key thing that you need to know or that you need to hold on to in your Excel journey is you understanding the function and what the arguments are, what the argument means, what the argument expects. You need to understand that. Once that is clear to you, you are in so many ways close to you mastering those functions. So think about it this way. There is a condition we want to apply before we run our calculation. The calculation we want to do is a sum. That is what will give us total. That's the calculation we want to run. But before we run that calculation, because we don't want to consider our entire data set, so we need to now reduce what we see to only what we need. So the column that has the condition that we want to, the column that has the condition that we want to apply is the column that you supply in your range. Then the criteria is the actual condition itself, which in our case is BIOSA. We only want to see the cells or the rows that have BIOSA, and the sum range, that is the column that holds the numbers that you want to sum up. Okay, so I'll come here now. I can do it first in here. So how did I get here again? Let me go back so it's clear to somebody that just came back from break. They went to eat while some of us are here. All right. So I'll do equal to sumif. And then I will say, if I want to use the function argument box, remember, you just do Control A to bring up the function argument box. I will do it with it first, then I will do it without it. Faisola, you felt attacked, right? You are cooking noodles by the side. So I'll come here to the range, which is the company column. So I'm just going to select this. Remember, click on the first cell and then Control Shift down arrow. Click on the first cell and press Control Shift down arrow. And one interesting thing with the function argument box is whatever you're supplying, it tends to show you the results in front here. So if you already supplied the wrong thing, you'll get an error somewhere. And then you know that you're doing the wrong thing. So I'm going to come back here. Then the criteria is BIOSA. But one thing I do whenever I'm working in Excel so that I avoid typos. I don't type most of the things myself, especially if I can pick it from somewhere. So what I would do, instead of typing BIOSA manually myself, I'll just come to any cell here that has BIOSA and I'm going to select it. And when you select it, you see that what goes in here is actually BIOSA. That's what goes in here. All right. And then lastly, the sum range, which is the cells that we want to sum. If this condition is true, is the salary column. Control Shift down arrow like so. And then even before we click out of this, you'll see that we already have our result here. It tells us that the total is going to be 11 million. And then what I need to just do here is click on OK, and that will put in the formula here, and we are good. Yes, Sunday. Whenever you want to bring out the function argument box, once you type in the function, You have the opening bracket, then you can press Ctrl A and that will bring out the function argument box. So now we have done this using the function argument box. So let's do it without it. So I'll do equal to sumif. So what is the range again? That is the column that holds your condition. So I come in here, Control Shift down arrow. You have supplied the range. I put a comma. What is the criteria? Like I told you, you can type it manually yourself. So what you just need to do is to put a double quote, type in Bielsa. You need to ensure that you are typing it exactly how it is in the cell. That's why I typically would, instead of typing it manually myself, because I might be hungry, and instead of typing Bielsa, I type Bieslia. All right. So you need to, if you have that same thing that you want to apply as your condition, if it already exists in your data set, just go point to that particular cell. Okay. So I go back here. Instead of typing manually, I come in here and I select Bielsa, and then I put a comma, and now I say the sum range, I will give it my entire salary column. So I have this here, close my bracket, hit enter, and we have the result. Your Control A will not bring out anything if you do not follow the process. So what you need to do is you type in the function first, have the opening bracket. Once the opening bracket is up, you press Ctrl A, then you should be fine. All right. If this is clear to you, give me 2 on the chart. Yes, Wilson. The criteria must be typed exactly how it is in your data set. If it doesn't match, it's not going to see it. Let's try something. If I do equal to sumif, and then I do this, I come in here and I type Bielsa like so. I put a comma and then I select the salaries. You see what I typed in here? I enter. For some reason it worked. And I think this might be because of the version I'm using. Those of you that you're using lower version, you can try it. Maybe it might not work. But I'm pretty sure that if you did spell it correctly, exactly the same way, maybe instead of Bielsa, I omit this E, we are not going to get anything in return. Rosemary, you are the one that do not have the Excel worksheet. People have it. All right, super. So I'm going to close this chapter now. I'll close this chapter. So what I need you to do is to go complete this. What would you use for average salary? I already gave it here. Average if. Highest salary, if you have the max if, that's what you use. Lowest salary, if you have the min ifs, that's what you use. Total number of staff in Nasarawa, you use the count if. So if you want to calculate the total number of staff in Nasarawa, somebody should tell me what your criterion would be. Put that on the chart for me quickly. What will be your criterion if you're going to calculate the total number of staff in Nasarawa? Yes, okay, if you don't have it, you missed something. Is it possible not to use the optional parameter sum range? Yes, it's possible. Whenever your range is the same as your sum range. If your range is the same as your sum range, you can omit it. That's what that means. So which means you want to apply a condition that would only sum the salaries if maybe they are more than 1 million, something like that. Then Excel will use your range as your sum range. So the condition will be Nasarawa. Super. All right. Thanks for that. So let's switch to the file for today. So I'm just going to close this one. I don't want to save it. Everything should be cleared. Then I come up with the file for today. Alrighty. So now, what we have done so far, those are functions that are related to numbers. So when you're working with numbers in Excel, how do you insert the table you are typing the functions inside? Valentine, I'm sure you just came. Watch the recording, you will get an answer to it. So those functions that we considered earlier, they are the functions that you have that work with numbers. Whenever you're working with numbers, you want to do some aggregations. Those are some functions that you need to be aware of. Now we want to switch quickly to functions that deal with text. The function that deal with text. My screen is small. Okay, hold on. Range. So what range is think about it as the column, the entire column that holds your criteria. So if your criteria is Nasarawa, which column would you find Nasarawa in? That will be your range. Does that make sense? So now, if you think about this way, let's look at this. We have a scenario to look at. We have a couple of scenarios, 5 of them. So we need to take this in rapid succession so that we can get to the promised land. Must your criteria be in text? No. There are times that your criteria will be numbers, depending on the kind of calculation that you're doing. But hopefully we'll have some scenarios to do with that when we get a bit more advanced in our series. So I need you guys to follow through. The faster we can go, the more you're going to learn. So we have a target, and we'll get to that target, and probably you can get a few more extra things to also add on. So just some follow through with this. The Excel sheet is a PDF. I don't know the Excel sheet you're talking about. So we have our company, our very rich and wealthy company. For some reasons, we did not store our data on the cloud. So our system crashed, and so we lost our records. When we lost our records, we were able to only retrieve what you see in column B, which are codes. We're only able to see what you see in column B, which are codes. But from these codes, as the super analyst, you have been asked by your manager to populate columns C, D, and E. Your manager has asked you to populate column C, D, and E. How are you going to do that? How would you know what to put under column C, which is department code? Your manager has helped you with some definitions. Whenever you are looking at these codes, the first 2 digits in the code is the department. So which means if you are looking at this first code, the department is 15. The code for the department is 15 because that is the first 2 digits from the original code. The next 6 digits from this original code is the date of asset purchase. The next 6 in the codes is the date of assets purchase, and the last 4 digits is the asset category code. The last 4 digits is the asset category code. All right. So what would you need to do for somebody who likes to work like a mechanic? What the person will do is to come here to look at the codes, pick the first 2 digits, is going to type it here. Pick the next 6 digits, is going to type it here. The last 4 digits is going to type it here, and then the guy will continue like that. Well done, super mechanic. More oil to your elbow. But for us, we would not go that route. So what we would do is to think through this and find functions that would help us to achieve this in Excel. What we want to do, this exercise that we want to perform, is what is called extractions. You want to extract from text in Excel. We have this to be the original text, and then from this original text, we want to extract some things. Whenever you want to do extractions in Excel, there are a few functions you need to be aware about. Thank you so much for that, Sunday. It's a super mechanic, a super one. Jeremiah, no, you cannot leave. I'm trying to give you, it's just giving you publicity. You're getting popular nowadays. Probably before now, not many people knew mechanics. Okay, So we have a few functions that you need to be aware of when you are doing text extractions. We have the left, we have the mid, we have the right, then we have the super guys, which are helper functions like the find and the search. So these are more file functions. So if you look at all the functions you probably have learned now, super Grace, you are a proud mechanic. I like that. Somebody has been a mechanic all their life. Hey, mechanic. But how do you juggle this now? Yeah. But while you are working within Excel, please forget that you're a mechanic. All right. So now these are 5 important functions that you need to know when you want to do text extraction. And they are pretty straightforward. The function that you will use is a function of where you are starting your extractions from. Think about it this way. I'll say that again. The function that you're going to use from this list or from this tree, let me put it that way, is a function or is dependent on where you are starting your extraction from. So if you're starting your extraction from the leftmost part of the original text, then you use the left function. If you're starting your extraction from the rightmost part of the original text, which means you're starting from the right towards the left, you want to start from the right towards the left, then you use the right function. And whenever you're starting from the middle, which means you are not starting from the extreme left, neither are you starting from the extreme right, you use the mid function. Left for left, right for right, mid for mid. And there are cases where you will need the find and the search. But hold on to them. Just hold on to them. We'll come by them very shortly. All right. So I come here now. By the definition of our department code, the department code is the first 2 digits from the original code. The first 2 digits from the original code. So somebody should tell me, without using our functions yet, what should be the answer for this first one? If we extract the first 2 digits from the original code, what would be our department code? Super, 15, that would be it. All right. Purchase date code. Think about the definition. Next 6 digits. What will be the purchase date code? What will be the purchase date code? Next 6 digits. Let's see somebody that we need to buy brighter grammar for. Next 6 digits. I'm seeing a couple of people already. How much are they selling brighter grammar now? Okay. Super. Last 4 digits. What will be the asset category code? What will be the asset category code? What will be the asset category code? Super. So now we are able to do it because we understand the definition. We know what we want. So what we need to do now is, how do we now use the functions that we've identified to solve our cases? So I come here, as always, I'll do equal to left, because we're extracting from the leftmost part of the original text. Equal to left, I tab in. Left is asking for 2 things. The text, which is a mandatory argument, number of characters, which is an optional argument. If you remember, when I explained what optional arguments mean, I told you that whenever you omit the optional argument, you need to understand what it defaults to. You need to know what is going to default to. If you omit the optional argument here, if I just supply the text that I want to extract from, and I close my bracket, the default for the number of characters that will be extracted is 1. 1 character would be extracted. So that is what this defaults to. So you need to understand that. So if you want to be in control of the number of characters that you want extracted, you would not omit the optional argument here. So what I need to do is the left function is asking for the text I want to extract from. I'll select this guy. I'll put a comma. And how many characters do I want to extract? 2 characters. So I'll put 2 here and then I'll close my bracket. So when I do this, I click on enter and that extracts out 1, 5. Interestingly, once I've done it for the first guy like this, I don't need to go down to repeat the same formula. What I just need to do is to come back to the first guy and you take your cursor to the bottom right of that cell. Keep your eye on it. Once I take my cursor to the bottom right of that cell, you see that it gradually changes to a crosshair. Once you have this crosshair, just double click it and the guy fills down the same formula for you. Super. Are we good? If you have this, if you understand this, type 3 on the chart for me. Don't drag down, Paul. Don't be a mechanic. You should not drag down. So just come to the edge here. That is how, maybe Paul was the one that said that he doesn't want to leave his mechanic job. So why do you want to drag? Don't drag. Just do it. Come back here. Just double click and let it do it for you. All right? Are we good? Excellent. I see a lot of 3s. Super. So now, how do you edit your spreadsheet? When you launch it, you will see one guy at the top that says enable content. Just click that guy, then you're good. Click that guy, enable content, and you'll be able to work. So now, purchase date code. Purchase date code, we have identified that we are not starting from the left. So which means we are running from the next 6 digits after the first 2. That's what this means. We're picking from the next 6 digits after the first 2. So I come here, I'll do mid. If you follow the explanation so far, you will know that you're supposed to use the mid function. And the mid function is asking for 3 things because it's the mid. It's asking for 3 things. The first is the text we want to extract from. So I'll give it this text, which is the original code. I give it the text, which is the original code. Koyum, I help you to say Amen. Yes, you will. You will. Then the next argument is the start norm. Where do you want to start your extraction from? Where are you starting from? What number of characters? Remember, we have picked the first 2. Then our definition says next 6. So where are we starting from? We'll be starting from the 3rd character. We are starting our extraction from the 3rd character. And the number of characters you want to extract, the definition says next 6 digits. So that will be 6. I close my bracket, I hit enter, and we have this. So we'll do it again. Equal to mid, the text you want to extract from, that is this original text. That's what you want to extract from. I put a comma. The start norm, the character or the position you're starting from, that's the 3rd position. And how many characters do you want to extract? 6 characters. I close my bracket. I hit enter. We have this, and I'm sure you know how to pull this down. Iyabosa, you probably have missed the mail where the file was shared with you. So, last one, asset category code. We need the last 4 digits. So because we need the last 4 digits, we can use the right function. We need the last 4 digits, so we can use the right function. So people are confessing already, Koyum. You know that you are a mechanic. So I do equal to right. I select the code. I put a comma. How many characters? I did 4 characters. I close my bracket. I hit enter, and this gives me the last 4 digits. If we are together up to this point, type 5 on the chart for me. Yes, Odim, you can rewatch this. You can always rewatch it. It's on YouTube. Give me 5 on the chart if you are up to this level. Super. So think about this a moment. You remember yesterday, I gave you something to think about logically by way of interchanging the functions and getting the same result. Now, to get the asset category code, I used the right function. I used the right function to get the asset category code. Is there any other functions from this left or mid that can use to get the same asset category code? What do you think? Is there any of these functions that I can use other than right to still get the asset category code? Somebody said left. Maybe not. Mid. Super. If you said mid, you should go this night. Don't make it tomorrow. Go to any close Akara joint and tell them to give you the grandchildren of Akara. You deserve a lot of them. All right. So we can do equal to mid, like so. And then I select the text. Where do we want to start from? That's what you just need to count. So we start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We want you to start from the 9th character, and it should give us 4 characters. That's all. So we do this, you get the same result. All right. So that is how you need to begin to think through whatever you do in Excel. You know that a function can do it, but try to think through the other things that you know and see which one can also do it. All right. So I think we are due for break. Let's go for our usual recess. We're back in 3 to 5 minutes. Then we continue. This is the time to take your attendance. As soon as it's up, please attend to it and do not come back after the break and start telling us to share the attendance slip. Thank you. See you in like 5 minutes. All right, so we're back. Okay, if you're back with me, back on the chart. If you're back with me, type back on the chart. Quickly, 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 quickly. All right, so now we're done with this. If you were not able to practice along, of course, you got the explanation. You have the file, you can always practice this later. So let's move on to the next case study. Text cleaning 1. Text cleaning 1. So what we want to do here is that in real life scenarios, especially when you are exporting data from systems, maybe you have some applications in your organization and you're exporting data from those systems out for you to now use for your analysis. Akara to be delivered. Super, super. I love you. All right, so if you're exporting data out of systems, your data might come out with some inconsistencies. And as an analyst, you would have to deal with that before you can go on to now begin your analysis. If you look at what we have on our column here, these are column B, which has our names, the names of our employees. You'll notice that there are some inconsistencies in how the names are written. Can you try to identify a few of them and you type on the chart? You don't have to confirm on the charts that you've submitted the attendance. You don't have to. So this is technology, okay? They will know who have marked the attendance or not. So you don't have to. All right. So we have days, we have in the column names, we have a lot of inconsistencies. Can you pick out a few? Just tell me what is wrong. Okay, super. Some are written in capital and some in lowercase. Mustafa, arrangement of names. Crimes creativity. I hope you are fine. We are still in power. Christopher also. What does that mean? First name and second name are in uppercase and last in missed cases, case inconsistency. Super. Cases are inconsistent for the most part. How do we now correct this? You know how you would do this if you want to keep being a mechanic. You know how to do this. You come to whichever cell you want to write the correct thing on, and then you start typing. So I'm going to skip the salary column for now. But there is something which is super important that I'm not sure anybody was able to pick or anybody identified it yet, which is a case of we have excess spaces. Too much space in between. Thank you, Okwayemi. You have too much spaces in between. For example, if you look at Jolin Yami has 3 spaces. If I come to Abdullah Yadamu, you see how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 spaces in between. These are inconsistencies. How many spaces are we supposed to have just in between the words? Just 1. We should have 1 space in between the first name and the last name. How do we correct this? So I'm going to start with column E. So column E is asking us to do something. Column E says that we should eliminate unnecessary spaces in between the names. Column E is saying that we should eliminate unnecessary spaces in between the names. What function can we use to achieve that? The function is very simple. The function is called trim. And when you look at the definition of the trim function, it says that the trim would remove all spaces from a text string except for single spaces between words. Trim will do something. Let me tell you what it does. If you have spaces which are called leading spaces, if you have spaces before a particular word, you have spaces after a particular word which are called trailing spaces, and you have more than 1 space in between, what trim would do is to take out the leading species completely, it takes out the trailing species completely, and it reduces the spaces in between to 1. So if you have 10 species, trim function will reduce it to 1, which is what you should naturally have. So what is trim function asking for? Is asking for text. That's what it's asking for. What is the text that you want to trim? We want to trim Jolly Yame. I supply Jolly Yame to it. I hit enter, and you see that our Jolly Yame now came out nice and neat. So all the 2 other extra spaces have been taken out, leaving us with just a space between Jolly and Yame. What function would you need for that? You need a trim function, like so. Just go on to supply the name you want to trim, and then you click on enter, and you get your result. If we are on the same page on this, 6 on the chart. Super. And you already know, once you do it for the first one, you can double click it to fill it down. Column F, names written in uppercase. So we want to transform all our names. Instead of we having mixed cases, for Jolly, for example, Jolly is written in uppercase and then in Yame in lowercase. So we want these to now be fully transformed to uppercases. So I come in here. What function do we use to transform it from whatever case it is on to upper? It is the upper function. So I type in the upper function. I will select the trimmed Jolly Yame, and then I hit enter, and you see that our Jolly Yame now is all in upper case. I'll do that again. Equal to upper. I select Jolly Yame, hit enter, and you have Jolly in Yame. If you have done this and you have filled it down, 7 on the chart. Yes, thank you, Toby. Thank you. Prince, peace rather. You want to send me water, please add a carrot to it. 7 on the chart. Super. Then, names written in lower cases. Assuming there are some names that flew up. Let me see if I can catch it. Somebody's asking. There are some names written in caps normal. So what if the question is based on those? There are some names written in caps normal. So what if the question, I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Emmanuel, if you can rephrase. So now, names written in lowercase is the same thing. Instead of having it in uppercase, if you want it to go in lowercase, you use the lower function. Lower function selects your Jolly Yummy that is in upper, and then you enter, and everything goes in lower function. Sorry, everything goes into the lowercase. So what if you want to change all the names to caps and on the same table? What if you want to change all the names to caps and on the same table? What table are you referring to? Okay, if you have done this, you have it all in lower cases, 8 on the chart. Somebody already knew what I would do next, or what I would ask you to do next. So 8 on the chart. If you are here, What about when you want just the first letter to be? Yes, that's the next thing we would do. All right. So now, names properly entered. What does name properly entered mean? We want the first letter of each word to be in uppercase. The first letter only in uppercase and every other letters in lowercase. For this one, you use the proper function. Proper function selects Jolin Yami and enter. And now we have Jolin Yami the way we would like it to be written. Mustafa has already jumped to 10. Celine, where did you see 15? Celine is still in last year's class. So for Jolin Yami to be in the proper case, by way of having the first letter to be in capital, to be in capital, and then the remaining letters in lower cases, you use the proper function. If you have done this, 10 on the chart. Thank you, Mr. Peter. Do we need this function in a particular order? No. Wait for the next one that we'll do. Super. So now, column I, we want the names to be properly entered and trimmed. So now we want to do 2 in 1. We want the names to be properly entered and trimmed. Remember that when we converted it, when we wrote the names to be properly entered, we used the proper function. And when we trimmed, we used the trim function. But we did it in 2 steps. We did it in 2 steps. Now we want to perform these 2 actions in a single step. And you are now going further in your Excel journey to now what is called nesting functions. So what does nesting means? Nesting. So nesting means that you are putting a function inside another function. So you are using multiple functions within the same calculation at the same time. So if before you were in KG1 in your Excel knowledge, now you have been promoted, you go to nursery 1. So you need to start to brace up now. So you start going for common and what do they call it? Common house sports, or what do they call that thing that we used to do? Different houses, inter-house sports. See me, I went to a village school. So you need to now start nesting functions one into another. So let's see how that happens. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Let's just see. So I come here now. Remember that we want to do it for this original name. So is this original dirty name that we want to now, thank you, blessing, inter-house sports. Your school must be very expensive. You see, I called it common house sports. Okay. All right, I'm pardoned. So now we want to correct this badly written name so that it has we perform the cleanup in a single step. We don't want to trim first in a step and then go on to convert it to proper case in another step. We want to combine the 2 steps into 1 step by way of nesting a function into another. But I'm going to do something here. You see that I'm beginning to scroll too much to the right because I want to sort of be able to work here. But at the same time, while I'm working here, I want to be able to see the original text that I'm working with. So what would you do? So what you would do is that I can click here so that I want to sort of make this everything here. When I scroll, I want to sort of make it go below, so it goes behind kind of, so that I can always see what is here while I see what I want to do. So I can click here this particular cell, and then I go here to the view tab. you see one super big boy here called freeze pane. So I click on the freeze pane and I say freeze pane. So once I do that, and now if I scroll, you see that I can continue to see what I need to see here while I have the column I want to work with, I have it much closer. So it is called freezing pane. So I do equal to prop trim. So I want to trim the dirty Jolly Yummy first. I want to trim it. I select this. I close my bracket. I hit enter. This is trimmed. But at the same time, I want to now convert this to proper case. So I can come in here into the formula bar. Just after the equality sign before the trim, I click in there and I type proper. It opens the bracket. I come here to close the bracket at the back here and I hit enter and I have the clean Jolly Yummy in a single step. I'll do that again. You can start with anyone. I can do proper first. Convert this to proper case. Super, like this. Then I can go into the formula bar just in front of the equality sign. I type trim like so. Then I come here to close the brackets. I hit enter and I've done the two separate steps now in a single step. Grace, what did you do that you need our pardon for? If you got this, you're on the same page with me, put 25 on the chart. What if you want the first name in uppercase and the other name in lowercase? Yes, it's possible, but you are not there yet. Nested functions are commutative. Hey, they've asked me what I don't know. What does commutative mean? Ah, you want me to come again, and you even told me that you just joined. Okay, I heard you, but I will not come again. You go watch the recording. I should do the nesting again. It's nesting, not nexting. Nesting. So just start with anyone. I do equal to trim. I select this guy. I close the bracket. I hit enter. What if you combine all the function at once? You can do that. You can do that. All right. So then I can come into the formula bar. I do proper, and then I come in here, close the bracket, and hit enter. Redo the freeze pane. How do you freeze pane? So let me take it out first. I come here and a freeze pane. You see that everything is back to how it was. So what you need to do, just what you need to have in mind whenever you are freezing panes, is that whatever you want to show, you want a particular column to always show. That column would be on the left. So you select something on the right of that column. So if I select this now, if I select this cell, what I'm saying is that everything from here should be frozen, which means everything from here would always remain. So whatever is on the left of what I'm selecting would always remain in place. That's what freezing does. So because I want this column that holds the names to be frozen, so I'll come here to the column that is just after it, select any cell there. I go to the view tab. I come here to freeze panes and I say freeze panes. And you see now that there is a line that is drawn, and the line just shows that everything will be wrapped behind when you scroll. Makes sense? How do you unfreeze? It's the same thing, sir. Sachuku Emeli. You go to view tab, you come here to freeze panes again, then you see the option to unfreeze. Must the brackets be closed? Yes. For some, if your calculation is not complicated, Excel automatically closes the bracket for you. But when you start nesting 10 functions, 12 functions together, and you miss a number of closing brackets, Excel will not automatically close them all for you. You'll get some errors. So you need to know that whenever there's an opening bracket, you must always go and close it. Super. So let's go. Next worksheet, text cleaning 2. We are proceeding. Text cleaning 2. Your Excel is fighting your grace. Invite me to a settling meeting. And you need to invite Ola Yemige as well. I think he likes one of our mechanics. One of them needs to be there as well. Can we take the nesting again? No, sir. You get the hash name error, yes, because you didn't type the name of your functions correctly. Retype the name of your function. You missed something. How can I have the Excel data sheet? You couldn't join the first session. That's why. So don't worry, watch the recording. You will know how to have it. What of me, though? What about you? We should use the nesting function on you. All right. So now, what are we doing here? What we want to do here is super simple. You brought in your data set. Yes, the salary column, I intentionally omitted it. Don't worry. We need us to use a function, which I think I shouldn't talk about yet. So just ignore it for now. So we have our data sets like this. Our names are correctly written, full names. But somebody has asked you that, what about the company name? You can do that yourself. It says the company name should be properly written. You know the function to use already. So our names are properly written in full. And then we have been asked to now extract the first names and the last names or the surnames from the full names. How do you go into extract that? You have learned about extraction. You have learned about how to extract from text. If you want to extract your first name, if you want to extract first name from full name, what function would you use? Left, mid, right. Which one would you use? Olanrewaju, you can only view because there's a button staring at you at the top of your screen that says enable editing, but you have ignored that button. What function would you use to extract your first name from full names? You use the left function. Why are you using the left function? Because your first name is at the leftmost part of your full name. So let's see that. Somebody is saying right because they write in Arabic. So their first name will be on the right side, and so they are extracting from there. So first name, I'll do equal to left. I'll do equal to left. All right. Left is asking for the text you want to extract from. So I'll select this. This is the name we want to extract from. This is our full name. This is our full name. And I'll put a comma. The number of characters. So Jolly is 5 characters. Jolly is 5 characters. So I put 5 and I hit enter. And this gives me Jolly. But what happens if I bring this formula down? I'm expecting Ali, but now I'm getting Ali space S. Can somebody tell me what went wrong? What do you think is wrong here? It was correct for Jolly. And as you know, once we do it for the first one, we want to be able to pull down the formula so that it fills it for the remaining ones that we expect it to be correct. Your first name is on the right, Blessing, I see. That's why. Number of characters selected was 5. Super. And Ali is 3, which means if you want this to be correct, I need to go here. Instead of 5, I need to make it 3. And this is correct. But if I come down again, I'm expecting Olusegun, but now I'm seeing Olu, which is still not correct. But does it mean that we'll now keep going cell by cell to now correct the number of characters that will be returned? If you have 1,000 names that you want to do this for, you will sure be a mechanic that will be recognized on the Guinness Book of Records. All right, so we won't do that. What are we going to do? We need to find a way. We need to find a way to dynamically tell Excel where to stop. We need to find a way to dynamically tell Excel where to stop. So look at the full name. What do you think would always be correct as an identifier for where to stop the extraction of the first name? What is that thing? Look at the full name and then identify what is unique and is available or is in all of them, that once we get to that thing, it's a natural indicator for where to stop the extraction. Super. Space. So we know that when we are extracting from Jolly and Yami, once we get to the space, we need to stop. And that would mean the end of the first name. When we are extracting Benga Daniel, we want to extract Benga. Once we get to the stop, to the space, we need to stop the extraction. Then the next question is, how do we tell Excel where to identify or how it will get to that space? So we need our sister functions that we have learned before, but we've not used. Those super functions, find and search. So these two functions do the same thing. They help you to search for something, or they help you to find something within a text, but one is case sensitive, one is not case sensitive. But for whatever reason, most times you forget which one is case sensitive and which one is not. But I think that find is case sensitive and search is not. So you can validate that. But sometimes I'm wrong. All right. So now what we need to do is this. We need to use the find function to go find the position of this space. We need to use the find function to go find the position of the space. So I can come here. So I'll erase this out. If I do equal to find is asking for three things: find text, within text, and start num, which is an optional argument. So I will supply the first two. What are you finding? We are looking for space. So you put a double quote, space, double quote, space, double quote. Then I put a comma. So I'm looking for space within this name. I'm looking for space within that name. I'll close my bracket. I hit enter. So what find returned is that the space is the 6th character in Jolly and Yummy, which you can already validate to be correct. So Jolly is 5 characters. The 6th character is the space. And so find is correct to have told us that the space is on the 6th character. So it means that if I pull these guys down, for Ali is 3 characters, then the very next one is the space. So 4 is correct. Olusegun is 8 characters. The space is the 9th character. So what we need to do now is, instead of manually telling Excel the number of characters we want to use the left function to extract, we'll just need to infuse the result of these guys. So now, because we are now very good in Excel, you have graduated to primary 1, we will now do that on the fly. So I do equal to left. What is the text? Jolly Iyame. But the number of characters that we want, we will now use the find function. And then I say, what text are we finding? We are finding space, comma, within what text? Within Jolly Yummy. So I close the bracket for find. And remember, the find will return the position of the space, and that would just be used to know where to stop the extraction for the left. So I hit enter. This gives us Jolly, and I'm sure that if you pull this down, it must be correct. So let's do that again. Equal to left. the text we're extracting from, Jolly Yami, comma, then find space in Jolly Yami, close the bracket for find, close the bracket for left, hit enter, and you get your Jolly. Your head one blue. Jeremiah, you need some code kono or soya milk. Don't worry. Okay. Everyone got this? Just give me 30 on the charts. 30 on the charts if you got this. The resources you receive via email, you can't access it, blah, blah, blah. Please send a mail to those that sent you the files. Super. We can go on to extract the surname too, but the surname is a bit complicated. It's not as direct as the first name, okay? But if you pay me, I will do it, but I don't think I should do it. So I should repeat this. So, okay, I'll do equal to left. I extract the text. I pick the text, comma, then I do find. Then we are looking for space within this particular text. I close my bracket for find, close my bracket for left, I hit enter, and then we have Jolly. Somebody is asking why people are typing 30. The person went to assist John Malakara to get back her loose on her head. Come and buy me suya. Blessing. Are you saying that on my behalf? All right. So now this is this. We can go on to use. Yes, somebody tried to use the right function for surname, but I can bet you that the right function would not do it for all of them. So because if you're finding the space will be calculated from the left. So which means you would not always get the correct position for the space that will be used in your right function. So you need to do something differently. But let's not go there, except somebody agrees to pay me anyways. So now, surname, we can do something else. What do we do? Just go to your surname box where you want the surname to be on. Follow this. This will work for all of you that you're using from 2016 upwards. If you come here to where you have your surname, just type your surname the way you want it in Yami. You type your surname the way you want it in Yami. And once you type it the way you want it, then press Control something, Control E, press Control E, and that should give you something and let me know. You come here to type in Yami, just type the surname for one of them, press Control E, and that should work for you. So it's not working for me because I know the reason. So if I do it for this first, if I do Jolly, I do this. You see that it works here? If I come back here, I do in Yami, Control E, and then keep the active cell you want field and click the flash field. So what do you guys see? Koyum is asking me how much. Emmanuel, please tell him how much. Grace, yours didn't work. What version of Excel are you using? Favorite, you want to pay me 2 million. What currency are you talking about? I hope it's not shillings and it's not kobo. Please uppercase and lowercase has it flew up. How can someone do it on the original column instead of creating another column? Debbie, where were you? Ghana cedis, Peter. That would be lovely, Peter. 2 million Ghana cedis. Then I should go on vacation for the next 5 years. Emmanuel, 60 BTC. Hey, maybe I should retire immediately. Super. Yes, so if you're using 2013, it most likely will not work. I think it's a feature that came in 2016 upwards. 2024 you have it. So if 2016 has it, you have it. So what this is, what has actually happened here is you have used a feature in Excel called the flash fill. You have used the flash fill. That's the feature that you've used, and it is more like an AI tool. So what it does is the first thing you typed is an example that you have given to it, and you have told it to now use the example to do the remaining extractions. So that's what you've asked it to do. So which is a case of if you want to know where the flash fill actually is, you come here to the data tab. If you come to the data tab, you come here to the data tools. You see the data tools here. You see this smart guy called flash fill. Excuse me. 1,000 akara would do to sing. Hey, so somebody has downgraded me finally. 1,000 akara for a me. So flash fill, you control E, that's what we used to call it. And essentially what it does is that it needs you to just give it an example. Once you give it an example, then you do control E, that activates the flash fill function. 2021 did not work. Olajide, are you using a cracked version? That may be a reason. All right, quickly, text cleaning 3. Let's go to text cleaning 3. Text cleaning 3. Let's go there quickly. We are wrapping up already. Text cleaning 3. So here we have the first name and we have the surname. 2013 worked. That is interesting. That is interesting. It means that it was around from 2013. I had always thought it came around in 2016. So we have the first name here and we have the surname. We have the first name and we have the surname. We've been asked to get the full name. How can you do this? You have a couple of ways. Of course, you've learned the flash fill, so your flash fill will also work here. So I do Jolly in Yame, like so. Control E, this would work. But let's not use the flash fill. Let's try to learn some functions here again. The simplest of ways to do this, and by the way, whenever you are joining texts, so what we want to do is we want to join the first name to the last name. That's what we want to do, literally. The technical term for joining words, that's first name, for example, to the last name, is called concatenation. Concatenation. That is the technical way, technical term. Abraham, please go over the recordings. You probably missed the first class, and maybe you are just joining today too. So you go over everything, you would understand what has been done so far. So concatenation is the technical term for joining texts, and it's just not in Excel. It's generally in data. So if you are used to some programming, you also would have heard about concatenation. Sounds like congratulations. Yes. Okay, so now we want to concatenate the first name and the surname. We want to concatenate the first name and the surname. The simplest way to go about it is to use the equal to sign, equal to, select the first name, and you put the ampersand. So this symbol, this and symbol is called ampersand. Okay, so you use the ampersand and you add it to the last name. So what you're saying is pick the first name, join it to the last name. So if I do enter, it gives us this Jolly in Yami put together. What God has joined together. That's what you see here. All right. So now, but it's not readable yet. We want to make it a bit more readable. So what we can do instead is equal to Jolly ampersand. But before we join it to the surname, we want to add a space. So I put double quote space, double quote, double space, double quote space, double quote. Then I add another ampersand. Then I select the surname. The ampersand is shift 7. So shift 7 on your keyboard should give you ampersand. Then I hit enter. Then you get Jolly in Yami like so. Isaac, if you can't see the screen, please go out and come back in. Is your internet? That is way number one. Way number two is to use functions in Excel. Can we use Jupyter instead of Excel? Of course you can. You can use your Jupyter notebook. You use your libraries, loading your data, and then you perform all of these operations on it. Super, you can do that. Then you have a couple of functions. Depending on your version, you would have a function called concatenate. Concatenate. You have a function called concat. You have a function called text join. And maybe there are other ones that I don't remember now. So these are three functions that do the same thing. So they are all used to join texts together. They're all used to join texts together. So let's try concatenate. If I do concatenate, see, concatenate is asking for the text we want to join together. So I select Jolly. I put a comma. What is the next text? I want to add a space. I put another comma and I select in Yami. I close the bracket. I hit enter. We get the same result. So you can go on to explore other functions depending. If you're not using anything from 2019, I think upwards, you may not have text join. So last case study, text cleaning 4. Text cleaning 4. We have the email addresses. You want to extract the first name and the surname. I'm sure you guys all know what to do. You can use your flash fill to do that. All right. At this point, we've come a long way. You've learned quite a bit. I implore you to go over the recording. What should I do again? Anti-patience. What should I do again? It's not flash field, it's flash fill. Flash fill. Flash fill. Esther is just Pacific concussion rice because of concatenation. Interesting. Please, sir, do it. What are you asking me to do? To fry akara or what? Can you do the flash fill? Yes, you can. So what do we need from here? We need Jolly. So I just type Jolly like so. Control E. Yeah, we're good. So that works. But you can use functions to also extract your Jolly from this. You can use functions to do that. But maybe I will leave you to explore a bit from your imagination. All right. Let's see if you have some questions to attend to. In the next class, by God's grace, next week, we'll be looking at some different, another category of functions. Monday, then we look at another category of functions on Wednesday and Thursday. So all through next week, we'll be looking at different set of functions. So I can bet you, just ensure that you practice all we've done so far. Practice it properly. All of the exercises that we've worked on, try to recreate them, try to redo them, and so that you get a good hang of them and you have them all with you before we run into some other levels of functions next week. Please, I do not have access to the texts, and I can what is being taught. Maybe you're talking about a file. You probably missed that email. You need to go back to that email. Please tell the admin to send the data set to the WhatsApp group. Okay, noted. I need a caram bread to reward this video again and follow up. That's okay. That's okay. I think everything can be done online now. So you can just go to any, maybe you go to Google, just search Akara. I'm sure you have it in multitudes. Just how many you want. Is concatenate the same function as concat? Yes, they do the same thing. It's just concat is more versatile than concatenate. Text join is the baba of all. So it allows you to add delimiters and all of those things, but you can explore them. Can I use laptop with Intel Celeron? Yes, you can. Hopefully your laptop doesn't crash, but if it doesn't crash now, maybe when you get to Power BI, it might start crashing. ChatGPT can get him Akara. Super. I like this class. You're not on WhatsApp group. You'll get on the WhatsApp group hopefully. How can I join the WhatsApp group? Don't worry. I tell the admin. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there is any question. Text clean for yes, we are done. We are done. You can complete it. You have an idea of what to be done already. So it's requesting edit access. I don't understand what that means. Is there a time frame before they bring down the video? I honestly do not know. So catch it young when it's still there. Does concat only work with text only? Yes, most times you want to concatenate with text, but you can do with numbers too. You don't have the complete file. Which file do you have? You don't have the maxive. Yes, I mentioned that some of you will not have it. You need to go and concatenate your bread with akara. Super. I love this. Go on to do that. Make sure you had Kuno if possible or Zobo. Code Zobo. You are practically concatenating our names on the global stage. Super. I love that. How can your PA reach you, sir? Which PA is that one? Is it the one that is helping us to fry akara? I've sent a mail. Don't worry, you'll get responses. You are not answering my question. Where's your question? There are a lot that are coming in, okay? So it's just what my eyes catches. That's what I read out. The mail sent for files updated. Mine is filling it up with the same letter all through. With the same first letter all through. I don't understand what that means. I changed my name on the LMS. That's a concern for the admins. Grace, you. What's you? Are you the one frying akara for everybody? Run through the last exercise. So the last exercise is just about we getting extracting the last name, the first name from this. But let me just use this to whet your appetite. So you take this home and so you can begin to expand your imagination. So I want to use functions to extract this. You know, it's pretty simple. If I want to extract Jolly from this, I do equal to left. And then this is the text. The number of characters, I know that what delimits the first name in this email address is the dot. So I can say that you should go find the dot in this name. And then when it gets it, because I don't want it to include that dot, I will do -1. I close my bracket, I hit enter, I get Jolly. So that is how this is just to whet your appetite. So let's do something for surname. Surname is a bit more complicated. So we need whatever is between the dot and the @ sign. So I do here equal to, let's do equal to mid. Let's do equal to mid. So this is, this is the text. I want to ensure that I don't exceed 9 p.m. And we want to start from the dot. So I do go find the dot from this. And when you see the dot, I want you to move one step further so that it doesn't include the dot in the extraction. And the number of characters to be returned, I can say that it should do, let me do something like, you should go find art from this same text. When you see the art, subtract it from go find the dots. I hope that this works. And somebody is not saying that I'm hungry, I need to go eat akara. Okay, so he included the art. Go find the art. So it gets the art, but I don't want it to include the art. Yeah. Okay, so I can just do +1 here. No. So it's the art that I don't want it to include. So I do -1. Yep. All right. So that's all. Thank you very much, everybody. So we catch again next week by God's grace. So this is just to let you know what is possible when you begin to now expand your imagination on how to work with functions. It's all of the functions that you already know, but how do you begin to now combine them to solve the problems that you have at hand? Thank you and bye for now.
Hi there, my name is Praise Oladipo, and thank you, Incubator.